Hello everybody, good evening, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as we talk Casemiro pondering his future. Breaking news in the last half an hour actually. Sir Alex Ferguson talks about Sir Jim Ratcliffe and is optimistic. We're also going to be talking about the potential for Manchester United to have not one but two new directors of football. Martinez is back in training but not back in training. We'll talk about what that means, and also, in relation to that, there is still no deal with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Where are we a year to the day since the Glazers actually put this club up for sale? Lots to get into on the show today. Apologies, I'm a little bit late. I thought I was just about to throw up. I'm on ibuprofen for my finger, which I have messed up again playing in goal today. It's in agony. And I don't really do well with ibuprofen, so it's made my stomach feel a bit off, and I've got a headache. So I just thought I was going to throw up. But nothing would keep me from you. I've not done a show with you today. I've done shows with you for 8 years, 9 years. I love this. I love this community. I love this show. You are my bread and butter, and I love bread and butter. And nobody's going to take my bread and butter away from me. So look, I might feel not great, but you are my fix, and I'm grateful for you being here. And there's lots to get into on the show tonight. Can I just say before we get into the show as well, because I will forget, I'm feeling a little bit hazy. The link is in the video description. That came up lovely there. That's what she said. The link is in the video description, and this is the QR code to scan for our Christmas show. We're revealing more and more as we get closer to it. There are still some tickets available. It's in Manchester on December the 11th. We've got Ben Foster from The Fill-In on the stage. We've got Ricky. We've got Beth. We've got Faz. We've got Kev. We've got 4 or 5 different sections within the show. We've got Santa giving out presents. We've got loads going on. It's going to be our best show ever. Get your tickets. Can't wait to see you. Very important thing that we will reveal as well. We did it at our last 2 shows. We didn't do it at the first 2, but we're learning the more shows we do. Basically, at the end of the show, there will be photo opportunities with everybody there. So if you want a photo, you will get one. Guaranteed. That will happen at the end of the show. So yes, that didn't happen at the first 2 shows because we couldn't coordinate it. We figured out how to coordinate it now. It's very quick. It's very easy. And you can get photos with us if you want as a Christmas treat on us. So get yourself a ticket. We'll be there December the 11th in Manchester. Can't wait to see you and meet you. Mark, you're over our bridge. Luke, Mark, you're our bridge over troubled water. Thank you very much. I'm hazy. I'm going to get through this though. I'm not. No, that sounds bad. I don't want to get through this. I'm going to do this. So, look, let's start off with our first story. Sir Alex Ferguson has broken his silence in relation to Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Some people will take this as good news. Some people will take it as bad news. But we're talking about Casemiro first because this is breaking news. This literally came in the last half an hour or so. Casemiro is starting to question his future and is thinking about his options for the next transfer window. Saudi Arabia is a possibility, which has already been discussed with those close to him. He doesn't rule out staying at Manchester United, but has to believe in the project. Now, this is coming in from Spanish reports, which suggests to me this is coming in from Casemiro's side, because if it was coming in from the club side, I think we would see it from certain other sources. Look, in some ways, I'm very relaxed about this. In other ways, I'm very concerned about this. I think that Luke has probably got it right. Casemiro wants to go. I think that Varane might want to go as well. But I don't think it's the way that you might think it is. I don't think this is players that they want to go because they don't like it at Manchester United. I think it's about players who are 30, 31, who came to Manchester United believing there was a project here. And at the time they came to Manchester United, Cristiano Ronaldo was here. And I think they saw a project to make Manchester United a big winning team, whether it be Champions League or Premier League. Now, that might have been massively naive by them. You know, maybe they should have looked at the club over the last 10 years. But I think Varane and Casemiro came here as multiple Champions League winners from Real Madrid to win things. And I think they're looking at their career and they're seeing it running out. And they're looking at Man United and they're going, do I want to stay here for the next, the last 2 or 3 years of my career at the top level? Do I want to stay here and work in uncertainty, or do I want to leave, or do I want to stay here under a project I understand? And I think with Casemiro, that's what's going on here. I think it's about what is the project? Am I part of that project? And is it a project that matches my ambitions? And if it doesn't, then maybe we shake hands professionally and part ways. I don't think this is a toxic thing. I don't think it will be with Varane either. I think this is realism. I think this is players going, look, The project I signed up to hasn't worked. We're now going to have a new project. What is that project? Do you want me to be part of that project? And if you do want me to be part of that project, are we going to be going for big prizes? And that's a lot of ifs. Because one, there's got to be a project that Casemiro and Varane want. And two, it's got to be a project that Man United want them to be part of. Considering they're on big wages, Man United might say, we want you to go as well. So I don't really see this as, sensational in the sense that it's sensationally toxic or it's another indicator of problems at Man United. It is an indicator of problems at Man United because in relation to our ambitions and our project, but on the other hand, it's quite a logical conversation to have with a number of players who are around the age group of Varane and Casemiro. And I would include people like Lindelof and Maguire in this as well, because they're all around 30. And you go, do you want to be part of this project? Do we want to be part of this project? What is the project? It's three questions. And I think in relation to Manchester United, notice how all of the quality players want to leave, but the crap players aren't good enough don't. Surely that's a sign, says Nicholas. Well, yeah. And I think this is... I don't think it's a good look for Manchester United if Varane and Casemiro go after Ronaldo and De Gea, because they're probably four of our best players in the last 3 years. So, and you're never going to replace them with players of that quality straight away. You're going to have to bring in players that might grow into being that level of player. So it's not a good indication of Man United's success when players of that quality want to go. However, all of those players are in their 30s. So you could say, well, if we're going long-term project again, removing people on big wages and rebuilding the club is probably a good idea. Having said that, if you want to build long-term but short-term, players that are winners and are ready to go now can be very valuable. As we saw last season, Casemiro was a fundamental part, and so was Varane, and so was De Gea, in us getting top three. I don't know which way this is going to go. I think it's a real conversation. My fear is that United let him go because they want to get rid of the wage. My hope is that they convince him to stay because that means it's a project he wants and it means we want to build a project. So I personally want Casemiro to stay because it's not even about the individual player. It shows me that the club has a project that he wants to get involved in. If he goes, you can interpret it one of two ways. He doesn't like the project, they don't like him, and they want to get rid of his wages. And I don't think that's good enough reasons. Mark, how do you manage to look like a 15-year-old prefect but talk like a 16-year-old prefect? All the best, says Mullet. I don't know, and I'm not in the mood for it tonight, mate. I've got a headache, and I don't really feel like I'm actually me at the moment. Notice how all of the quality you have done that one as well. So which one would you go for? Which one would you do? Would you let Casemiro go? Simple question. Would you let Casemiro go? I can hardly type. I'm in absolute agony here. Would you let Casemiro go? Yes, start the poll. How did I do my finger? Nobody asked. I'll tell you. I hurt it about 3 weeks ago in goal against Ben Foster. I thought I'd broken it. It got better. And then it made another save today and it hurt even more. So it isn't broken. But if anyone's a finger specialist, I don't know whether I've done something to a tendon or something, but it's in pain. It's making me feel very, very sick. Anyway, look, yeah, let me know what you think about Casemiro. But that's breaking news coming out, and I think we've probably fundamentally broken it down very accurately. There's a 3-step plan here. One, does the club want him to stay? 2, does he want to stay? And 3, what is the project? And I think that's how it will break down at the end of the day. Let's move on to what Sir Alex Ferguson has said. Remember that there has been no deal by Sir Jim. Let me just frame this, actually. I'm very surprised. I would imagine Sir Jim Radcliffe's side and Ineos are very frustrated. Mojo's just gifted a membership. Thank you very much, mate. Goldfinger, good one, Anthony. I would imagine that Sir Jim Radcliffe and Ineos are very frustrated. If you'd said to me the Monday after the Luton game, so right at the start of the international break, that we'd hit Thursday before the Everton game and not have an announcement on this sale, I probably would have got very frustrated. I don't know what the club are doing. I really don't know what the club are doing. Well, I don't know what the Glazers are doing. Let's put it that way. I don't know what the Glazers are doing. And I think this is just another indicator that Sir Jim Radcliffe is jumping to the Glazers' tune. And I don't really understand why people don't think that. Until we get any evidence to the opposite, it just looks like this is Sir Jim Radcliffe trying to get hold of Man United, but having to jump to the Glazers' tune. It is 1 year to the day, that they put this club up for sale / looked for investment. And 1 year to the day, it's still exclusively owned by the Glazers. A year. People were telling us it would definitely be done in 3 months. 1 whole year. Football stops for nobody. And the Glazers have basically put the handbrake on this club for 12 months. And we still don't have any resolution. And remember, even if they announced it now, there's still 6 to 8 weeks of official ratification from the Premier League and everybody else. So it's going to end up being 14 months before there is even investment. This is not a full sale. So this is on the Glazers. This is absolutely typical of the Glazer regime at Man United. Everything moves at a snail pace. It's only 25% investment, for God's sake. I'd half put up with it if they were actually leaving and it was a full sale. But it's taken 14 months. By the end of it, it will have taken 14 months to get somebody to come in with 25%. 14 months of the stadium rotting even more. 14 months of the club being at a standstill. It's an absolute joke. And I feel for all Manchester United fans about how long this has taken. Michael Hubbard, thank you very much for being a member of the club. But I think with where we are at the moment, it's going to be next week now. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday have now gone. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. Very unlikely to be Friday. So it will be next week, which means when we get the Sir Jim Ratcliffe Ineos investment deal and we want the detail, will actually be wrapped up with the result from Everton, the Galatasaray game, the Newcastle game, the Chelsea game. This is going to drop at a time when we've got a massive week on the pitch, massive month on the pitch. And as well as reacting to hopefully wins and, preparation for Galatasaray and Newcastle, we're going to have to digest this. The time for this to come out was the international break when we've got no games to analyse and we can analyse one of the most important, significant things that's happened to this club in the last 20 years. And we're going to get it dropped. Probably, I'll guarantee if we lose to Everton, it gets dropped on Monday as a distraction. And we needed this over the international break. This is a huge thing. Is it an indicator that they're trying to drop this at a time where we won't focus on it because it's not actually that good? Or is it just the Glazers taking bloody ages on a deal that might be quite good? We don't know, but I don't like the fact that this is dropping around the time there's results. This international break was the perfect time to drop it, and it is another indicator of the Glazers' complete and utter lack of instinct and, reality around the fact that dropping this news when we've got big games doesn't help anybody. It should have happened in the international break because the players are going to be as interested in it as you. They Bruno Fernandes, Harry Maguire, Marcus Rashford, they don't know the detail of this deal. They don't know whether Sir Jim's going to own all of the club or the Glazers are staying. They don't know. And that's quite significant for their futures as well. So look, I think it's a joke that it's taken this long. Brian Murphy says, Mark, we appreciate all the hard work you do on the United stand. Get well soon, mate. I hope to see Evan Ferguson in the jersey in the future. I loved that video this morning. I was listening to it in the car on the way back. I wasn't driving, obviously, but cracking video. I'd love Evan Ferguson to come to United, Brian. There will be no sale or investment. The club is too much of a cash machine for the greedy owners. New TV deal is just around the corner, says Adrian Cox. And Jack says, if Casemiro doesn't want to stay, let's just let him go. We already have enough problems in the squad. We can't add another disgruntled senior player to that, says Jack. Well, that's a very simplistic view. I get it. But what if, Jack, Casemiro is saying, I want to go because I don't like the vision of this football club. You are never going to be successful and I've only got a couple of years left and I want to be successful. I don't mind players like that knocking on the door. It's the same as knocking on the door because the manager's not picking you and saying, I want to play first team football. It's ambitious. You can never knock players who want to be ambitious. I said this about Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't like the way he went about leaving the football club. But the bottom line is, Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't the guy turning up late for training. He wasn't the guy not giving everything in training. And he wasn't the guy not giving everything on the pitch. I'm sure Ronaldo ruffled a few feathers when he was at the club. And I'm sure his ego was hard to deal with. But ultimately, hard to deal with, ego or not, I think we all know Ronaldo is obsessed with winning. That is why his body is what it is. That is why he is still playing for Portugal. He wants to win. The reason Ronaldo had to leave Man United is because he was the odd one out. He was the player that demanded professionalism every minute of every day, training or in a game. And that's why Ronaldo fell out with people. I'd rather have those characters. I'd rather have Casemiro's. And I do respect the fact that they want to leave when they realise the club is rotten. I don't agree with how Ronaldo did it, and I don't like it, but ultimately it was handled badly. If we'd let him go in the summer, it wouldn't have been as big a deal. The Piers Morgan interview obviously was very, very, very regretful, and I don't like it. But he left because he fell out with people because his standards were not being met. So, Jack, I don't actually have a problem with players saying they want to leave because they don't think that the club standards are in tune with theirs. It's for the club to match those standards, surely. And surely that's what all this change is meant to be about. Bradley, thank you for being a member for 2 months. Anyway, look, keep your questions coming in. There's some good stuff coming in here. But look, talking about the Sir Jim Ratcliffe acquisition, Sir Alex Ferguson has broken his silence today on Sir Jim Ratcliffe's expected buyout at Manchester United. This is what he had to say. He said that in an interview courtesy of Gambling Zone, I don't know what that's all about, but he said, "I am still director of the club and I know Jim well. We shall have to see what he does, but I am optimistic." Look, it's a very short statement, but what it does say is that I'm a director. I'm still involved with the football club. I know Sir Jim Ratcliffe. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm optimistic. Now, look, I always say, and you can disagree with me or you can agree with me, Sir Alex Ferguson is a no-go zone for criticism. And I know that everybody doesn't agree with me on that one, and I'm fine with it. It's just my stance. I can't be critical of a guy that probably shaped me as a young man in relation. I've never met him, but what I mean is I used to see him on the TV, his petulance, his aggression, his obsession. There are similarities to myself in what I'm like, and I'm sure there are hundreds of thousands of other people out there that were influenced by this man. So I cannot speak badly of Sir Alex Ferguson because I think there's so much of the way he was at Man United that has rubbed off on me. And I can't criticise the man. I really can't. I find it very difficult to do it. So when Sir Alex Ferguson says, he's optimistic and he's still involved with the football club, I'm like, great, that's fine. But playing devil's advocate, he also told us to get behind David Moyes. I didn't agree with him on that. I did get behind David Moyes, but I really didn't want David Moyes to be the manager. We all know signings that he made that didn't work. Some people, actually do, if I'm being honest, blame Sir Alex Ferguson for the fact that the Glazers bought the football club because of the fallout with shareholders over a horse. So I don't think we have unity in our fan base of 100%. Sir Alex Ferguson says this is the right thing to do, so let's all agree with it. And I've always been a big advocate of that. Just because you massively respect somebody doesn't mean you jump off the cliff because they tell you to. I get that. But, Sir Alex Ferguson saying that he's optimistic about Sir Jim Ratcliffe and he knows him, I hope that means something good, because I think what we cannot deny is that Sir Alex Ferguson has always and remains obsessed with Manchester United being the best. He turns up to every game. He took us from nobodies to somebodies, and we'll always be in a debt of gratitude for him. So if he is hopeful and optimistic, then hopefully that means something positive. I will say this, though. I'm not just going to blindly follow that and go, everything's going to be okay. I'm not going to do that, because that would be inconsistent with what I've said for the last few weeks and months. I don't actually like this deal on the face of it until I know the detail of it. It concerns me. I wish Sir Jim Ratcliffe was buying 100% of the club. It's not personal to Sir Jim. I wish he was buying 100% of the club, because that's what I wanted. Full sale, Glazers out. So that's my stance. I don't change on that. Would I have preferred Qatar? Well, yes, because the amount of money they were going to pump in. But I don't really know what Sir Jim Ratcliffe's plan was going to be if he bought it all. I'd rather he bought it all than what we've got at the moment. He's gone from 100% to 70% to 50% to 25%. Is there a pathway to full ownership? Why are the Glazers hanging around? I'm very suspicious. I don't trust them. And I don't have enough detail about this deal. So I'm very concerned about this deal at the moment, because I don't think there's enough to be optimistic. But maybe Sir Alex Ferguson knows something. Maybe he knows something. And when we know that, maybe I'll be optimistic. But at the moment, I'm very cautious. Not even because of Sir Jim Ratcliffe, really. I can live with Sir Jim Ratcliffe owning the football club as long as he owns all of it. And his plan is in tune with what's required. What I struggle with is the Glazers still staying at Manchester United, and in my mind, still being the decision makers. It concerns me. But look, we're still waiting for the clarity, and it didn't happen today. He should main news understudy, keep him, says Ryan, in relation to Casemiro. Mojo's gifted us 5 memberships as well. Thank you very much. Interestingly, on the Casemiro vote, would you let Casemiro go? Yes, 44%. No, 56%. I'm amazed at how close that is. I mean, do you realise... I'm only saying this. I'm not doing this to change your mind. Opinions are absolutely valid here. But do you realise that if Casemiro went in January... who plays holding midfielder? Like, we don't have one. And we need 2. Sorry, we need 2. We need 2. We don't have one. And you're going to sell Casemiro. That massively concerns me. Let's have the conversation in the summer. I'm happy to have the conversation in the summer. And like Shana says, end of the season. But not in January. God, no. Like, what are we going to do? Play Eriksen there? Or McTominay there? Or Amrabat there? I mean, I just think we need Casemiro till the end of the season and then we reassess it. That's what I would say. The same thing that I said with Varane last night. Let's reassess it. Let me come back here. So, yeah, Sir Alex Ferguson has said that. What do you think about what Sir Alex Ferguson said there? He appointed Moyes, says David Saunders, to make himself look good. Should have been Pochettino, says David. Imagine if he gets rid of Varane and Casemiro in January, says Marvin. And Chris says, Glazers haven't signed anything. The question is why, and will they really? Talking like it's a guarantee is silly at this point, or they'd already done it. Glazers aren't stupid, says Chris. Absolutely believe this deal is done. My stance. I absolutely believe this deal is done and will be done. I don't think there's any chance of it falling through, Chris. From what we're hearing, the deal is done. It's just slow process through lawyers. But yeah, I think it will get done. Isaiah says Tchouaméni. I don't see Real Madrid giving us Tchouaméni. Not till he's 31. That's what they normally do. They give us their best players when they're like 30, 31, don't they? I don't think they're going to give them at the moment. Damien says, hi, Mark. I love the community you've built. Sadly, had to go to ID my uncle who passed away early hours this morning. It's been a tough day, says Damien. Can we get a bit of love for Damien, please? That sounds like a really massive, sad life event. And as part of the community, let's give Damien a bit of love because that's not easy. And, thoughts are with you, Damien, and your family. And, yeah, that's not an easy thing to do, and I hope you're doing okay. And I'm glad that you're here with us in the community. Thanks, Damien. Okay, let's move on then. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about still. I don't know whether you saw this today. It came in from, I think it was Alex Crook, who works at TalkSport, saying that Manchester United may be looking to follow a Chelsea model where you have more than one sporting director. And the names Maldini and Dougie Freedman and Paul Mitchell were all mentioned. I'm not against this, by the way. I think that when it comes to recruitment, John Murtagh doesn't do everything on his own. There'll be a bunch of names that really don't get a lot of focus. So I don't really mind if we I don't really mind if we bring in Maldini and Mitchell or Dougie Freedman and Mitchell. I don't mind that. I don't think necessarily you need 2 directors of football, but you could have a director of football and an understudy. So I don't mind us doing that. In fact, it shows that we're investing in an area where if you get 2 people instead of 1, it shows you're investing in an area. So I don't mind that happening at all. Do I think it's breaking news? Not necessarily. I mean, we heard yesterday that John Murtagh is, hoping and expecting to carry on as normal and maybe potentially under Ineos as well. What if John Murtagh stays and Paul Mitchell comes in to work with him? Murtagh might survive. What if Murtagh goes and Paul Mitchell comes in and Dougie Freedman comes in? So I don't think this is... I mentioned this a few days ago. Dougie Freedman, as Man United Director of Football, makes absolutely no sense. He doesn't have the experience. It's a huge, huge risk. But I said it a few days ago when he was linked. To me, there is clearly something going on with Dougie Freedman at Crystal Palace and Manchester United. And what if it's to bring him in as one for the future next to somebody like Paul Mitchell? And I get the feeling that might be a possibility. So I'm not massively against it. I wouldn't want Dougie Freedman as our sporting director or director of football on his own. I don't think he's got anywhere near the experience or knowledge to do that at Man United. And we don't need a trainee, we need an expert. But I do think that bringing him in next to someone like Paul Mitchell might be a good idea. And as I say, it's not a negative because it's investment. You know, the old United, we created a director of football role and we gave it to an internal candidate. Costs us nothing. If we now get two in externally, it costs us twice. And I don't mind United doing stuff like that because it's investment. So I'm completely relaxed about this. I have said before that I'm 90% sure we're going to get Paul Mitchell from what we're hearing. And if we get Paul Mitchell and somebody else, absolutely fine. I don't think in that position it does any harm to have more than one, as long as there's a hierarchy and they work together in harmony. So I've got no problem with this at all. And Doogie Friedman's done a good job at Crystal Palace, especially in relation to the youth and recruitment around that. And Paul Mitchell's got a lot of experience, so it could work quite well. I don't see us getting Maldini. Having said that, if we get Blanc, I suppose we could go with another foreign director of football to work with Blanc as well. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you want the best. That's what we want. Gift, Real G has joined the members club. Thank you very much. And talking about the members club, Mojo has gifted 10 memberships. You're an absolute legend, Mojo. Thank you very much for that. Really, really appreciate that. Joseph, Jack, James, that's the job. Damien H are all now members, as is ARJ. Thank you. Thank you very much. Savage is a member. He says we massively need Blanc. Well, I think that is absolutely inevitable as well. Yeah, absolutely inevitable. Callie says, I love the shirt. I'd forgotten I had it on. Well, I hadn't. I'd forgotten to tell you about it. It's a cracking. It's one of our Christmas jumpers. Merry Rasmus. Links in the live chat and in the video description as well. We do ship worldwide. Check out our Christmas jumpers. And we will be at the Christmas show, actually, giving out about 20 wrapped up from Santa. So you could be one of those in the audience who gets one. We'll be doing an interactive quiz. You put your hand up and then we'll pick somebody who gets it right first. So, well, you know, can't wait for the show. And you may well be walking out with a Christmas jumper on us as well. So get your tickets for the Christmas show. Links next to me and in the video description. Thanks, everyone. Right, let's move on. We have got one more story to bring you, and that is, and then I want to get into a bit of your conversations. There's no point keeping Varane and Casemiro if Ten Hag won't play them. I only keep them in December if Ten Hag gets the sack, says Jay. So you're going to get rid of Varane and Casemiro in January. I hope you enjoy the Europa League because that's exactly where we'll be next season. You cannot get rid of players of that quality in January when you can't replace them. They're not replaceable in January. What we're going to do, get Thuram and Todibo from Nice. If we're going to let Varane and Casemiro go, it's got to be in the summer. I'm not saying there's not a conversation to be had. I'm a realist. But don't do it in January. Please don't do it in January. Really missing last season's Casemiro. United squad lacked a six for years before Casemiro came. Hope Ten Hag is given time to sort the midfield out. Just kicking it with Cade. But you know what I find about Casemiro is, and I don't know whether you agree with me on this, isn't it funny how Casemiro has fell off and is finished? And yet everybody else is underperforming as well. Like, Casemiro's not played well this season and he's now injured, but he's fell off. He's done. His legs are gone. Rashford's not playing well this season. Has he gone? Is his legs fell off? Bruno's not playing well this season. Has he gone? Has his legs fell off? Delo's not playing well this season. Oh, is he finished? Has his legs fell off? Martinez wasn't playing well before his injury. Lucas Shaw wasn't playing before his injury. Mason Mount's not playing well. Is he done? Has his legs fell off? I find it overdramatic. And guess where this comes from? Who are the people who said Casemiro's done? His legs are gone. Prats in the mainstream. And unfortunately, they do infect the mind of idiots because it then hits some people in our fan base who start repeating like a parrot what they've heard from Prats in the mainstream who basically are just looking for a big tagline to be sensationalist. I don't think Casemiro's fell off. I don't think his legs are gone. I think he's having a bad season. I think Rashford's having a bad season. I think Bruno's having a bad season. But guess what? Newsflash. I like all three of those players and I think they'll be back. I think they're struggling with a very, 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 very demanding season last year, where all three of them played in the World Cup as well, where all three of them played international football in June, where all three of them got next to no break before coming back for pre-season into another demanding season. I think that they are struggling because of that. And Casemiro, the advantage Casemiro's got over Bruno and Rashford is that he is now getting a break. He is now getting a 2-month break. So if Casemiro comes back in January and February and plays like he did in August, I'll be concerned. But I guarantee, well, I don't guarantee, but I highly suspect he will come back like a new signing, fresh. The same as Martinez, the same as Luke Shaw, because I think through injury, they've actually got the break they needed. Look at Wan-Bissaka when he came back. Looked like one of our best players. I think Casemiro will have a very good back end to the season. I think Martinez will, and I think Luke Shaw will, if they can stay fit. Talking of which, Martinez today, there was a bit of a rumour that Martinez was back in training. He's not back in training. He was back at training in trainers. He wasn't training with the first team. He was there with the first team in shorts and trainers, but he wasn't training. The latest with Martinez is that he's not in the situation that Luke Shaw is, where he could be back next week. Who knows? Look, hopefully we can get him back before January. I'd say that Martinez, considering we are really a week away from the end of November, if we get Martinez back by mid-December, it would be fantastic. But this is a guy who has to be treated with kid gloves. Has to be. This is a player that damaged his metatarsal at the end of last season. We brought him back. It wasn't healed. God knows how we missed that. We actually played him a couple of games at the start of the season and he wasn't even healed. And obviously he's had to have an op. You can't rush him back. You can't. So I think with Martinez, it's great to see him back at Carrington. I'm sure he's been at Carrington anyway, doing gym work. But it looks to me like he's walking in trainers, which means he probably can start doing some light grass work on his own and see how that goes. But then it's about that first tackle in training, putting your boots on, running around, kicking a ball. He could still be 4 weeks away. He could be 2 weeks away. I don't know. But there was a bit of excitement that he's back in training. That's not the case. He was back at training, but he wasn't playing with the other players. But it's not going to be far off, but ultimately it's not going to be quick enough. I mean, I wish Casemiro and Martinez were back this week. It's going to be a huge week. We've got Luke Shaw back by the sounds of it. Wan-Bissaka's back. Hopefully Rasmus is back. Eriksen's not going to be back for a while. It's a huge week for Manchester United. But as much as it's frustrating, I agree with Martinez. We've got to be 100% sure that he's back, because it's really unbelievable that an injury that should have kept him out for 3 months has kept him out for nearly 8. It's incredible. This injury happened in, was it May or April? And he should have been back at the start of the season, and we missed something. We missed something. You can be out with a major knee injury less than what he's been out with a foot problem. So we've got to make sure that when he does come back, he stays back. And therefore, I think we will quite rightly take our time with it. If there was a World Cup next month, he'd be there, says Chops. Well, I can't argue with that, and we also can't prove it. I mean, players do rush themselves back when there's a major event. A World Cup comes around every 4 years, but that's not our job as fans to speculate about hypotheticals. That's for the club to look. The club needs to. The club needs to be more authoritative. Of course it does. We need to take back control of the club. We talk about player power, but player power is many things. Player power is, I'm going to go and play international football because I love playing for my country, when the club should say, get in the physio room, you're not fit, we're sending that report to your country, they can have a look at it, and if they can show us anything different, they're lying, you're not going. We need to be like that. I suspect that over the last 10 years we have probably been a little bit weaker than we were under Sir Alex. It was common practice for players to withdraw from international duty under Sir Alex, to the frustration of many international coaches. I think it's flipped the other way now. I think a lot of our players want to play international football, and I think the club probably aren't strong enough on players that maybe aren't fit enough to go and do it. So, but whether we can do that, I don't know. There's a lot to be changed at Manchester United. Anyone has an idea of what's going on with Malacia, says Kemmel? Excuse me. No, I don't know with Malacia. He's been out injured for a very long time as well. I'm not even sure what his injury is. I have a feeling it's his knee, but I don't know what the issue is with Malacia. And the thing about Malacia is he's not established. He's been here 18 months. I thought he had a decent first season as an understudy left back, but to not be fit when the number one left back's not fit is a missed opportunity. I mean, obviously he's injured. We can't do anything about it, but he needs to get himself back fit, because if he'd have been fit in September, he'd have been playing a lot of games for us. And with Reguil on there and Luke Shaw coming back before him, it's an unfortunate set of events. But yeah, I don't know what the situation is with Malacia, and he's got a lot to prove, like a few players. Not convinced about anything about this deal, and how much will we know? And my condolences to Damien's family and friends, says Alan Noonan. Alan, thank you very much for your super chat there. I believe more in the Fernandes than Malacia. I'm sorry, says Hell. Look, I really like Alvaro Fernandes. I mean, I'm doing Man United career mode on my channel at the moment, and he's pretty much my starting left back in season 3, so 2 seasons from now. He's doing really well in Spain, last time I looked, and I think that even I said it in the summer. It didn't happen, I'll admit, but I said in the summer, if you're looking for a young player that might break through, that's a bit of a shock this season, it's Alvaro Fernandes. From what I've seen of him, I like his speed on the ball, I like his height, I like his physicality, and I like the way he moves. I like the way he's passing. I think there's a lot about his game that is really traditional left back, but modern left back as well. And I think that there's an opportunity for him, and he's doing really, really well in Spain. So look, let's wait and see what happens with him. I can't remember how old he is. He's 20, and he's 20 years of age. He won't be 21 until March. He's at Granada at the moment. Absolutely the right thing to do. Apparently he was called into senior Spain training this week as well. I don't know whether anybody read that. It was actually reported by a Preston North End account that says Man United talent and former Preston North End loanee Alvaro Fernandes has trained with Spain's national team this week. There you go. I wasn't even aware of that. So look, I like. You never know, but I think he's doing the right thing. Loan deals, as we saw with Ahmad. I mean, where's Ahmad? I thought Ahmad would be back by now as well, and he had a fantastic season at Sunderland. We talk about the injuries to Martinez, and we talk about the injuries to Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka and Casemiro, and they're huge. But there are other injuries that, the Malacia injury, the Ahmad injury. This season could have been really breakthrough for them. Unfortunately, they've picked up injuries as well. Malacia is expected to be available by the end of the month, says James. And Van der Beek will be off on loan, says Warren. Is he not going to Galatasaray? I mean, look, with Van der Beek, he wasn't a topic of conversation, but you've brought it in. With Van der Beek, we've got an injury crisis in every area of the pitch, and he doesn't even get on the bench. And this is a guy that Ten Hag made, who Ten Hag likes. So your answer's there. If a guy that loves Van der Beek and gets on with Van der Beek, who has an injury crisis, doesn't even put him on the bench, then he's absolutely done. Like Lucas said, I mean, this is not Ollie. This is Van der Beek and Ten Hag and Van der Beek. Sorry, Van der Beek. Van der Beek and Ten Hag, and he still won't put him on the bench. So there's nothing to be said. Like it's over, isn't it? And he needs to go and build his career elsewhere. It's massively disappointing. I remember me and Fabrizio talking about Donny before he was even linked to United, saying what a good signing he would be. And that's football, isn't it? Fabrizio said it, I said it, what a good signing he would be. Really excited when we got him. Not a good signing. Nobody's an expert in this game. It just hasn't worked out. I never would have thought it would have worked out this badly. I thought he might be, maybe it would be an okay signing. I hoped it was going to be a great signing. It's been a terrible signing. I never would have predicted that. I never would have predicted it at all. And people can say, well, it's the Eredivisie, it's a different league. But he was playing well for Ajax. Deep into the Champions League. Frenkie de Jong's gone to Barcelona and played well. You look at De Ligt. I don't think De Ligt's done particularly well at Juventus and Bayern. Some people travel and do well, some people don't. It is what it is. Would you want to keep any... I mean, look at Varane. Juan Sebastian Varane, when we brought him in, probably the most surprising flop we've ever done. I couldn't understand it. We had Giggs, Keane, Scholes. I think Beckham was still there. He was. You brought Varane in. You were like, how are we going to build a midfield with all those five? Maybe that was the problem. Maybe we just didn't build a system for it. But I was like, Varane in the modern game... Varane in the modern game, he was ahead of his time and it didn't work. Sometimes it doesn't work. Would you want to keep any player who may want out in January, whether they're better than players as may not give effort anymore for whatever reason? Ray, I wouldn't let anybody go in January. I wouldn't let Casemiro go. I wouldn't let Varane go. I wouldn't let Martial go. I wouldn't let Maguire go. I wouldn't let McTominay go. I just think we are what we are. We go with what we've got. If we can add something, fine. But I wouldn't let anyone go. Because if you have another injury crisis and you want to play survival football, we've seen the players that are playing at the moment can just put effort in. And the likes of Casemiro and Varane and Martial could be on there. If they come back and play well, they're important players for us. Martial might be able to chip in with a few goals. I wouldn't be getting rid. This should not be get rid of Varane to get to Debo. This should be get to Debo and then let's discuss Varane in the summer. We should be adding players. We're not in a position to go one in, one out. We should just be keep and one in. We need more players. If we're getting rid of players, summer. I wouldn't be getting rid of anybody in January. It's ridiculous to get rid of anyone in January. If we've not learnt anything from the last 4 months, we need more players, not one in, one out. I'm all for players leaving the club, but I wouldn't do it until the summer. You may as well keep them until the summer because you've got. My point really is that we've had a major injury crisis in the first 4 or 5 months of the season. What makes you think it's going to get better the longer season goes on? Surely, if we've got players that are tired and getting injured at the start of the season, we're going to get more injuries the more tired they become. I think the people who've been out for longer, the Casemiros, the Martinezes, the Shaws, hopefully that injury break will be like a mini break and they'll come back fresh and get through to the end of the season. But there's still a lot of players that have played a lot of football that haven't had any injuries that you probably think will get an injury. I mean, I don't want to say it, I'm not going to say it, but there's 2 or 3 players that are very important to us that I think are probably on very thin ice for an injury based on how much they've played this season and how much they played last season and the little break they got in the summer. So I think we'll pick up more injuries. And there's 2 injuries that if we got one of those, I think we're in big trouble. So yeah, it's I wouldn't be getting rid of anybody in January. I think it's too risky. What if Sancho's got to go? I mean, there's always an answer that undermines me, and yeah, Sancho's got to go. But I don't count Sancho as being here. He's not been available for selection for 2 months. I don't count Sancho as actually being a player. He doesn't want to play, or we're not picking him. So I don't count Sancho. We've got to let him go. But people who've been involved or injured, I wouldn't be letting them go. During his last season at Ajax, he was in the top 30 players in the world at the time. Something must have gone on during the Ollie era, but what? Who knows, says Jack. Confidence, injury, maybe doesn't suit the league. There could be numerous reasons. I just think with Donny, it's not even worth discussing because it's over. I think we've had those conversations. Why it's over, only he will know, really, I suppose, and certain people within the club. Mojo says, could we get Todibo on loan in January? We already have 2 players on loan. I don't know how many can we have on loan as per the league rules. I think as per the league rules, you can only have 2 people on loan from the same league. So we could have another Premier League loan because Reguilon's 1. Amrabat's from abroad. I think you can have more foreign loanees. But let's be clear, there is no way in my mind that we're going to loan in Todibo because Nice are in a title race and they won't want him to go anyway, and he might not want to go. So if we're going to get him, I think we're going to have to buy him. And they might not want to do it until the summer. Yes, Sir Jim's got a lot of sway as owner of Nice, but the player might not want to do it with the Euros coming up. He might want to just say, look, if I keep playing for Nice and move in the summer, it doesn't impact my Euros squad. I don't know, but Todibo will sign for United in January, June or July. Thumb has been a member for 5 months. Thank you very much. The second Sancho goes, his next manager will play him on the right wing, unlike all our idiot managers except Kadiki, where he was Europe's assist leader. Why do we have a habit of repositioning, says Alan. Does it really matter, Alan? Now, I mean, I think we've gone past we mentioned with Donny, and I think we've got to say the same with Sancho. We've gone past the point of return. If Donny goes to Galatasaray and becomes the top scoring attacking midfielder in the world, it's not like he should. We've gone past the point of return. What he does at another club, we can have regrets, but it's not like it's over. And I think with Sancho, if he goes off and does really well somewhere else, what could we have done? Like, we're at the point of no return. He doesn't want to apologise. Ten Hag doesn't want him in the team. It's not like it's a possibility for us to pick him on the right wing anymore. It's over, isn't it? And yeah, I get your point. Maybe he will go off and do really well, but I think we're at the point of no return. I almost agree with Dylan, who says I wouldn't care because we can't do anything. And we've got Ahmad, like Dylan said. I mean, we mustn't forget Ahmad. I'd like to see him getting involved. It's just a shame when young players get injured in what can be transformative seasons, because you can't afford to miss this time. Why did Ronaldo, Di Maria, so many fail only at our club? We need to look past blaming players, says Alan. And Sancho literally played in the right last season, and our fans said he doesn't run or beat his man, says DK. United can train the talent out of anyone, says Michael Talbot. And what's your opinions on a club clear-out, says Tammy's? I think it's got to happen in the summer. I mean, if I was Sir Jim, and I'm not, then I would want to be analysing everything probably over the last 10 years, probably over the last 6 months, and probably in this season. There's a lot to analyse. I would be constantly doing that from now until April. I'd want my new director of football part of that ASAP. And by the end of March, I'd want to be having a conversation about what we're doing in the summer, and I'd be clearing out and bringing in. And I think next summer has to be sensational in relation to what we clear out and what we bring in. And look, if next summer Varane goes, Casemiro goes, Maguire goes, Martial goes, and 3 other, Eriksen goes, and we just clear out a load of players and we bring a load of players in, fine. But I'd wait until next summer to do it. Apart from Sancho, I'd wait until next summer to do it, because we've got to make sure that I don't think United have their vision yet. How can they have their vision? So Jim's not even in place. So until we've got that vision, I wouldn't be making any major changes in January unless we can bring a player in. And the only player I think that's obvious to bring in is Todibo, because Ten Hag wanted a centre-back last summer and Todibo was on the list and he plays for Nice, who Sir Jim Radcliffe owned. Don't forget he didn't want to play on the right, says Glenny Boy, and Pellistri has had great games for his national side, says Mojo. Well, I mean, the thing about Pellistri is he should be playing more games. I just don't think Ten Hag, for whatever reason, really is committed to Pellistri in the way that he's committed to Rashford, Garnacho and Anthony. So Pellistri really probably should be going on loan. We've got to sort out his contract, put him on loan. Pellistri needs to play every week, and he's not playing every week for Man United. And yeah, I think Pellistri on loan in January would be interesting. But we might need to keep him like we kept Elanga too long, because we haven't got enough cover in that position. But if Ahmad comes back, I'd let Pellistri go on loan, because he needs to play. He's got to play. And he gets into the Uruguayan side, says Mario G. Exactly. Thank you very much, everyone, tonight. You've took my head off my headache and my finger ache. And it's been a cracking show again. As I said last night, the 8 o'clock show has been incredible the last few nights. I've really enjoyed it. We've had loads to talk about, which is great. Thanks for your support. Please do smash a like on the video. I hope you've had a good day. I haven't seen you all today until this evening, so thank you very much for tuning in. If you want to get your Christmas jumpers, we do ship them worldwide. Now's the time to order them if you want to get them in for the start of December. Links in the live chat. It's United Stand Shopify. And don't forget our latest announcement about the Christmas show. We have got a football fill-in, Ben Foster there. We've got Ricky and Beth and Kev and Faz, and we've got a section with the forum. We've got Santa there giving out some of these. And also at the end of the show, if you want a picture with us or with me or with whoever, then we will be giving everybody that opportunity as well. So it's going to be a cracking night, December the 11th. Get your tickets. Links in the live chat and it's in the video description. Can't wait to see you there. Hopefully get a drink with you as well. Don't know how that's going to work at the start, but I'm sure I'll be able to come out afterwards. Thanks everyone for watching, and hopefully see you on December the 11th. If not, I'll see you tomorrow, but links in the video description for the tickets. It's going to be a great night, the United Stand Christmas show in Manchester. Love it. Thank you.